Ryan Kenny's the next. If he's got a cancer bit, he's fucked. Give it up for the next act. It's Ryan Kenny.
Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now?
Thanks, Mum. I suffer from a crippling social anxiety, so this is going to be just as fun for you as it currently is for me. As you can tell, if you have eyes, I was bullied at school. And at work, and at home, and between the beatings, my mother used to say to me, Ryan, you need to get yourself a hobby. So I did. I took up poetry. Didn't help. In fact, it probably made things drastically worse. So this first poem that I'm going to perform is called Pauline, and this is for reasons that will become very obvious very early on in the poem. I have a poetry voice as well, so thank you. Joker. Pauline gasped. She'd never seen a cock so big. She blushed as she stared at Robert's prize-winning chicken, whose knob was enormous. Most of my poems are based on true stories, and the rest are just narratives I've made up. And this poem is based on a true story about myself, but I've changed my own name to protect my own identity. Tim's mother called him. Help! I've fallen down the stairs, she screamed onto his answer phone. So Tim called her back. Each day for 4 days, no answer. So Tim assumed she no longer needed help and carried on with the rest of his week. My girlfriend, I know. Girlfriend, the power of poetry. I consider my girlfriend to be a bit of a wag. She stinks of dog food. And she said, Ryan, aren't all actors ironic? And I thought, yeah, they are ironic. And here's some proof for you. A seasoned actress such as Judi Dench tastes nothing like salt and pepper. The James Bond actor, Rory Kinnear, can't, he's half deaf. Despite me asking, Will Smith won't. My mum said to me the other day, she went, Ryan, because I can never be arsed coming to any of your gigs, how do you normally do the set? I said, well, I'll start with the latest one I've written and work way back until I've done them all. So with that in mind, this is poem 247. Stacey went bowling. It took her ages to find the right ball, but finally she found one. The weight was fine, but her fingers kept getting lodged in the little holes. Instead of admitting she had chubby little man fingers, She bowled anyway, severely breaking her wrist in 3 places. This one's a bit shorter, poem 246. It requires some acting, so... 2 gay melons tried to marry. No, no, screamed the pineapples. You cantaloupe. I often perform my poetry in front of mirrors, but once I had the opportunity to perform with celebrities on a boat, and Brian Blessed was in the corner and he went, do you just do poems? I said, no, Brian, I'm also really good at impressions. And when I was on this boat, the captain said, we're in a sea battle, quick, get the cannonballs. I said, we ran out of cannonballs. He said, use the coconuts. I did. We looked across the battlefield, desiccated. I know I've got these cute little cards, but I do know the poems off by heart, and to prove it, I'm going to do this one off the cuff. It's called The Magician's Wand. Haha. That's a classic case of a misdirection, Amy said, as a magician's cock went flaccid. What's next? Oh, yes. I did a gig in Birkenhead a few weeks ago, and there was a... for Birkenhead. There was a woman at the back, and she went, I don't like... Brian Blessed again. I don't like your poems, so they don't rhyme, so I dedicated this one to her. It's called Barbara. Barbara moaned in... I just started looking at you, then I'd carry on. Yeah, is that all right? Barbara moaned in pleasure. She shook in pure delight. That's too uncomfortable. It was a perfect fit. Everything felt just right. The moment it slotted in, and it all disappeared from sight. Should have said that's called the Long Thin Tetris piece.
Ryan Kenny, ladies and gents, give it up.